BT, everyone! This is Walk Like a Mailman, a show for carriers, but not just for carriers. Here are your hosts in the Southwest studio, Griffin Walker, and in the Northwest studio, Jeffro the MC. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Taylor. Welcome to the number one postal related podcast. And thanks to all the human beings out there that made it possible. So how have you been, Griffin?
I have been good. How about you, Jeff? What you been up to?
A little once upon a time. The very first episode, remember I was sick? The very first episode, Postal Abbreviations,
Yes.
episode 1.
Yes, you claimed it as your flu game, even though there was little to no pressure riding on it. We could just record over it in an hour.
It was the very first game that I was a part of, and it was my flu game. I am in that same mindset right now. And I actually had a bit that I wrote out where like kids are basically petri dishes that carry disease, and it's like children are worth it, and they make you understand and respect and love the world that you exist in because of them. But the price that is paid is being what feels like sick like 2/3 out of the year. And so like you're just basically playing with them, and they're like drooling all over the place, and they got snot bubbles and this and that, and then they it starts with a little and you're like, oh no, here comes the plague. And so that's basically where I'm at right now. So let's try to abbreviate this as much as possible, so that way I can go ahead and drink half a bottle of Dayquil.
10-4.
Yes. And as a little disclaimer, I am not going to drink, and no one should drink half a bottle of medicine. Anyway, housekeeping: follow, rate, review, spread the word around this station. Let all your postal carrier friends know about the show. Share the show on social media. Just search Walk Like a Mailman on Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, even X, formerly known as the Twit Machine, including YouTube. We do post the episodes on YouTube, so just in case you're browsing and you like to have maybe some YouTube playing in the background, we do have our episodes up there. It's just pretty easy to find us. And if you want to come on the show, like we do have, I believe on the back end, we have Shane to do a little special seg. He hit us up at walklikeamailman@gmail.com. And anyone out there that would like to come on the show, if you know anyone, do that. It's definitely something that we want to hear from you out there, anyone listening. So is that okay, Griffin? Did I sound
yes
like I
we
wasn't going
want
to
to hear from all of you?
all of the one person that is this? No, let's get to the hot case before I keel over here. Do you want to do that?
Sounds good. Yeah, check the hot case before we go to the street.
Yes, before we go to the street, we got to scan it. And sometimes there's not a lot in there. So it might be a little sparse today. But speaking of socials and having people reach out to us through the email, and then we also got a lot of traction on socials on Darwin's appearance last week.
Ooh.
Yeah. I posted the biggest thing. There's other things that we got a lot of responses from, but the biggest was a picture of his hand. Do you remember his hand?
Yes.
Do you have nightmares when you close your eyes at night about his hand?
No.
I do. It's so crazy. So if you are listening to me and you haven't, check out our socials and look at what I'm talking about Griffin's Darwin's boxing glove sized hand. So we got a couple of people that responded to it and reached out to us. The one with a username of Sorry Man that's their username. They say, I opened a CBU once to get stung by a wasp. Apparently they built their nest inside there. Oh man. Talking about fear unlocked. Where the outgoing was So basically, where we collect the mail, like there's always like slots on CBUs where you put outgoing mail. I guess there was a wasp nest inside there, and nobody effing told me. No, no one fudging told me. So
Now that you like mention it, I feel like, and maybe my memory's a bit screwed up. There was a Bruce Willis movie where I'm pretty sure somebody snuck a rattlesnake in the mailbox and he got like surprised by it.
what it reminds me of, this whole entire thing, it reminds me of the. Have you seen the GIF of Nicolas Cage where he's got all the bees around his face?
Not
He's
the
like,
bees! Not
the
the
bees.
bees! And that
Yeah,
wasn't even in the movie. I think they cut that part out of the movie.
yeah.
They deleted
It wasn't because of the acting; it was because of the crappy
the CGI
CGI.
bees.
Yeah, but they told maintenance and had wasp spray. They had their specific quote is I, and we had them wasp spray that shiitake. So that was. Sometimes I wonder why the regular didn't even bother to do anything before I did. That sounds like it sounds like someone's plotting out your demise.
Dun,
So
dun,
yeah, so
dun.
a little T6 or a little in station drama. Ooh, some clue.
Ooh.
Was it in the CBU with the wasp? Oh, anyway,
Colonel
Beebs
Mustard.
40. Yeah, Beebs 44 replied with, "I never reach into mailboxes." So that's yeah, I get that. You try to prevent yourself from actually putting your like entire arm or entire hand into a mailbox. When you're doing a mounted route or you're doing a driving route, it is harder to actually do what this person has indicated. But it's just funny. It's like I never reach into mailboxes. So what do you do? Like just standing like a foot back, just throwing mail into anyway. But thank you for your
Kind of
response.
like that old video game Paperboy, where you would like
Yeah, you're just driving
the
by
newspaper into the mailbox, get the bonus points.
Yeah, and then there's like a guy that's like stuck under a car, and you gotta throw the newspaper to like set him free or something. I remember that
Well,
game.
no, you not the car onto the guy is what you did.
Oh, you did not. You were like you were a
Yeah,
local.
that game was savage.
Yeah, yes, a local deviant. And another person responded. I think a person didn't get. Oh yeah, no, this is. I think a person didn't get the concept. I posted like a before and after of Darwin's hand.
Yeah.
And the response literally was, "Man, for having two left hands." Like, no, it was a before and after. It wasn't that Darwin had two left hands. So this guy or this person thought that Darwin had such bad luck to where he not only had two left hands, but one of them got stung by a yellow jacket. So, and then another response in all caps, "You'll turn black." So apparently they got stung and their hand turned black. But yeah, that sounds like a hospital emergency room trip to me. But even Chris from the Dells even reached out about it. He says he's been using. Yeah, hey Chris, he's been stung a dozen times, but luckily he's not allergic. So I appear to be in that sector. So it's one of those where I've been stung, but I haven't had some kind of response that Darwin has had. Moving along here. So what we have with what's left on the hot case, did you get those pictures I sent you?
Yes.
These are weird things that are on the lawn or on a front porch. What describe to me what you see in the first picture?
It looks like I can't tell what kind of animal. It kind of has like an owl, like with the eyes and everything, but it's like an owl in The Hobbit or something. It's kind of weird.
It is
carrying a cane. He's got a hat. I can't really tell what it is.
It is right next to. This is on my route. This is. I have no idea what it is. It looks foreign, but like there's like markings. They're like holding a bag or like a box in their hand. It's got like these markings that make it look like it's Asian.
Yeah.
But it's unsettling, and it's in the very, very beginning. It's like the first 5 swings of my day. So I see this at like 8 o'clock in the morning every day.
Ugh.
And it's right next to someone's mailbox.
Stuff that nightmares are made of.
I have to like look this thing into the eyes. And these are things, and I try to exclude it. Like these are year round. It's not just Halloween decorations. So what do we got for the second one?
Second one is looks like a female bear with a flannel hat holding a shotgun. It's like a welcome sign.
Yeah,
Kind
that
of
was
like
when
if
it,
Elmer Fudd was a female bear.
yeah, it's like in Reno. Uh there was a lot of pictures like this where it was like this cutesy little like teddy bear, but it has this like big old 12 gauge shotgun in its arms, like holding it, like, oh, welcome to our house. It's like there's no part of this that is welcoming. It's you got this creepy bear. It's even got extra ammo in its jacket, like hanging out like the front pocket of its jacket. It's like there's no part of this that's like, I want to come into this house.
That's like the
Welcome.
welcome sign from Deliverance.
Yeah, that's what it totally looks like. Okay, let's yeah, that one I sent to Rachel one morning or one day when I was delivering, and I was like, this is a little unsettling when I see stuff like this. This is I am definitely delivering to a red state at the moment,
Yes.
but it's, yeah, Nevada's not red per se, but it's parts of it is red.
This
What do we
next
got
one,
next?
it looks like the horse's head from The Godfather grew a suit, and it's like wearing a tuxedo suit, and it's
It's like
just
a, it's almost like a waiter, like
yeah, yeah, but I don't. Is this like in a garage or something? Or like,
yeah, it's a garage that neighbors, so like their garage faces out, and right next to it, right to the right of the garage is where their mailbox is.
mhm.
So I have to look this thing and to, like this is like the next swing. So after I deal with like this little demon, like hobbit, like owl looking thing, like the next like swing over, and it's a full like it is like full size length.
Yeah, it looks like it.
It is, you can see like it's next to like a workbench. It's in their garage, so you can see for context how actually big this thing is. I'm like hum dum dum, just me just going, just
Yeah,
go
the
from place to
horse's
place.
head. Ah!
Ah! That's exactly what it is. I will post all of these on the socials, but this one is by far like the creepiest thing, and it reminds me of like things that people would wear and just like stay as still as they can with like a bowl of candy, and then
Yeah,
once a kid gets close they just
they
they
spring to
jump
life and
up,
they scare the children.
and then kids will
Jump scare.
ship their pants if you get on my trip. That was a Target or a Kmart commercial. They used to say, I just shipped my pants anyway. But yeah, so that's those, and then there's one more. We'll just go one more. How about one more?
Okay.
This one was from my former route. My last, the very
Which
very
one? Because you sent two. Which one do you want
the
to?
gnomes.
The gnomes. Yes, the gnomes from a couple episodes ago. They got
Yes,
another gnome and a house and a little.
but these are tiny. These
Yeah,
are
these
like
are
not
very
just like,
small gnomes.
yeah, they're and like it's becoming like a growing thing that people create like these little villages, and it's like out in the middle of, so like if you step wrong, you could just kill a whole gnome civilization. It's one of the weirdest trends that have come up, and I didn't see a lot of it when I was delivering in Reno in Nevada, and I never seen it before I delivered mail. But in Washington, it apparently is a big thing that a lot of people do. They make like
Looks
these
like the
little,
Travelocity gnome has a friend too.
yeah. It's usually there's like a mushroom house and like a bridge, and there's like people outside or like little gnomes outside, and they got like a wheelbarrow and they're like doing work, and it's like a whole play scene that they like set up and they propped up, and it's just like it looks like you're just playing with dolls to me, and like making a scene out in your front yard. Why is, I don't know. And then there's like I've seen like people or like articles or things like online where like it attracts the kids in the neighborhood, and they like get together and they like look at it, and then they'll change it, so then that way people come back and they're like, oh, there's more, or oh, it's different, and it's just like, why are you doing this in your front yard? I just, But anyway, that was my little part of weird things that are on people's front lawns. So that's something you run into. And if you got any weird things on your guys' front yards, just go ahead and shoot us an email at walklikeamailman@gmail.com. I would love to see them, and I would love to compare and see if I've seen something similar to that, or if it is completely as new and twisted as I imagine I will get from the people out there. So, do you want to move along, Griffin?
Sure.
Are you sure? Are you positive? You might
Yes.
not look.
Yes, I'm
you,
sure.
You may not like what we're going to move on to.
Oh, okay.
It's the Carter update.
Oh,
Hit that
no.
music. Hit it. Hit it. Hit it. Yes, it is the Carter update. So we're going to probably, okay, it's 2 days until October 1st. So we are,
Ooh.
like, by this time next week, he will have been 100 for more than 5 days. So that is the Carter update. So I would just say end the music now, because this is going to be a long one, but it's not really, really long. But I just figured having the music play under all of this is going to be weird. But anyway, so I just wanted to do, before we move on to the break here, to give a list of other famous people that have been born on the same day, which is October 1st, Jimmy Carter's birthday.
Okie dokie. Who was born on October 1st?
Julie Andrews.
The Sound of Music lady?
Yeah, isn't that Mary Poppins?
I don't know.
Google that while I say the
Could
next
be.
name. Is it what is Julie Andrews in? I could have swore that's Mary Poppins. Am I wrong on that?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Brie Larson.
I'm not really a big fan of hers.
Yes, but she is Captain Marvel. So Brie Larson was born on October 1st. Asaya Morales. Do you know who Asaya Morales is? He's an actor.
Isn't he he was in Ozark, right?
I think so.
I think if he's who I think he is, he's also the villain in the most recent Mission Impossible movie.
Yes, that is him. That actually, and he's in La Bamba. I don't know if he's actually, is he La Bamba?
No,
But,
I thought Lou Diamond Phillips was Lou
yeah,
Bamba.
but he's in there. That's like one of his IMDb movies. And Zach Galifianakis was born on
Ooh.
October 1st.
I like him.
Wolfpack. Yes. He is, yeah. Jimmy Carter is part of Zach's Wolfpack. Sarah Drew. You may not know her. She's in like a bunch of things, but she's the voice of Daria from that one show.
I remember that show.
That show was the shiznit. And
Okay, so we were both right. She was Mary Poppins, and then a year later she was in The Sound of Music.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Okay. So yeah, that all checks out. Yeah.
We were both right.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I didn't discount what you were saying, but when I see that name, I think the first thing I think is a spoonful of sugar.
I mean, it's two iconic roles right there, you know.
I know. But she was born October 1st. Richard Harris. He's got like these. He's kind of got like the IMDb of like a Ian McKellen, or the Lee. What's his name? The guy that played Sauron. Christopher Lee. Got just a bunch of really crazy high level, highbrow roles, but he's most famously Albus Dumbledore in the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, I've never seen those movies. So.
Yeah, by the way, R.I.P. Maggie Smith. She was Professor McGonagall. Yeah, she passed away this week. That was a pretty.
Sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, Annie Besant, October 1st, was born that day. She is a huge women's rights activist, huge women's rights activist. Her famous quote is, "Better remain silent. Better not even think if you are not prepared to act." So she's got like a bunch of famous quotes. Definitely, if you get a chance, check out her work. Annie Besant.
Cool.
Rod Carew.
He was baseball man.
Baseball player. Second baseman for the Twins.
He had one of the funkiest batting stances out there too. I remember it in a video game that I played. he would like
Yes.
angle the bat out in front of him and kind of wave it around.
Yeah. Theresa May was born on October 1st. She's the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Cool.
What was her batting stance like? It's funny.
I don't know.
Like,
They play cricket over there, so you know.
Walter Matthau. He
Ah,
was
the
born
Odd Couple.
Yeah, I always think Bad News Bears.
Yes, bad.
Yes.
Bears.
2 weeks in a row. That's my streak. It's going. I'm gonna bring up baseball movies every episode. Speaking of Mark McGuire, the one of the Bash brothers,
Yes.
he was born on October 1st. And Randy Quaid.
Oh, he's
Randy
cool.
Quaid. Yeah.
A little weird, but he's cool.
Yeah. That could be the title of my book.
You probably know him as the crazy uncle from the National Lampoon movies with
Yeah,
where
didn't
Rusty G got his name from.
Isn't he the one also that saved us all from the spaceship above? Was it the?
Yes,
it wasn't,
an Independence Day. Yes,
Yeah,
he
yes.
made the noble sacrifice
Yes,
during the end of that movie.
we are all here today because of Randy Quaid. And then the final one that I have is William Boeing, the founder of Boeing, was born on October 1st. So,
Do you think Boeing would let a SpaceX astronaut, or a SpaceX shuttle take down the Boeing astronauts that are still up there in space, probably having a Shining episode right now?
first of all, just leave all of that in. I love how long and how I was like waiting for it. That's beautiful. Second of all, I think Boeing would not. I've seen interviews with them, and as much as it the Shining does look like something I would probably take care of. I would take part in.
Johnny.
Yes. But those people are way more prepared, and just think about having like a panic attack in space. Yeah, but they're way more prepared and way more efficient in human beings to carry out what it is that they have. But okay, so I was thinking about it from last time. So they went in space in June. So that's like that's a couple of months before the preseason, and they're coming back. We are sitting in the middle of, or the end of September. They still have to go through October, November, December, January, and come back February. They are going to be in space for a full football season. That blows my mind. Like they leave with one NFL champion, and then they come down, and there's going to be another NFL champion. Like that's too long in space. And before we go to a break here, you know that I'm going to go. This is my fever dream here. The Arizona Coyotes, they moved to Utah.
Yes.
And do you know what the new name they elected to play under this year, or the new name that shows up on all of my updates?
I do not.
The Utah Hockey Team. So they like looked at the Washington football team and were like, oh, that went down and went superb. So let's do the same thing. So yeah, right now they're referenced. I don't know if they're going to play under that the whole entire year, but they're called the Utah Hockey Club. But anyway, let's head to a break. And before we do, we have this week's sponsor.
Who's the sponsor, Jeff?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I wait for you every week, and I'm like a little worried that it takes you longer every week. But okay, whatever. This week's sponsor is Metamorphosis. Just out of context, just gonna say this week, Metamorphosis is our sponsor. So I'll let you guys figure that one out there. So yeah, stay tuned and come back after the break with what we have left on. Oh yeah, and Shane will be what we have after the break on Walk Like a Mailman.
Stay tuned.
Ooh, Rusty. Well, another week where Rusty finally maybe can get over that hump. Everybody, welcome Shane to the show.
Hello,
Yay,
everybody.
Shane's back.
Yay!
Yay!
Fanfare, Shane.
Woo!
So, when was the last time you had a vehicle? Because you're a postal mail carrier. It probably happens more often than people would believe. When was the last time you had a vehicle break down on you or have like a vehicle issue?
Well, I have vehicle issues almost every day, but there's a couple of tricks to getting the CRVs to work.
Yeah.
Which I know we're not supposed to say that, Honda, but I don't care. I always manage to get it to work, but a lot of times it will be like sometimes you have to hold the gear shifter up a little bit in order for it to start. Otherwise, it like won't start. So I've almost called a couple of times because I couldn't get it to start, and then it's normally just like some weird thing you have to tap, and then it will start just fine.
It reminds me like if like someone's trying to like carjack you and like steal your vehicle, and they're like, "Get out of the car!" and you're like, they like point the weapon at you, they like throw you out, and then they get in the car and try to drive away, and you're like, "No, no, no! You got to raise the gear shifter and then tap it twice." You help him start the car, so then that way he could steal your vehicle. So.
Yeah, pretty much exactly.
Yeah. We all know on the show that was like about 2 weeks ago. I think that was 2 weeks ago. Just time flies here. So, why are you here, Shane?
To do the male person of the show.
No person of the show. I like every time I try to get a little bit more snippy with you. Why are you here, Shane? Answer yourself.
Here to hijack the show from us.
About yourself. So, who is the male person of the show?
One of my favorite comedians and actors, Mr. Steve Carell.
Ooh. So
what movie was it that he played a mail carrier in?
It's not that he played a mail carrier. He actually was a mail carrier himself in his life.
What? Really?
Yes.
In real life, he was a mail carrier. So that's where we're trying to do like a little spin, a little kind of,
you guys pulled a fast one on me here.
Yeah, we're trying to.
You thought he was in a movie. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, the male person of the show. That was the reason why I told Griffin, like, hey, catch up on your Steve Carell for this next episode. And we kind of didn't reveal why. Yeah,
okay,
so
cool. I love surprises.
In like the top like echelon of people that used to be mail carriers, like famous people that used to actually be mail carriers, Steve Carell's name always comes up. So just in case people aren't aware that are listening, he was a rural carrier in 1985, and he carried mail in Littleton, Massachusetts. So Griffin, do you know where Littleton is?
I do not know where Littleton is.
I don't
it
know. It
must
either.
be a little town.
Yes, it was. Well, I mean, he did have a rural route, so obviously it was probably in the sticks, for Massachusetts. But it was in 1985, and I have a couple little tidbits here. So Carell said he was too slow and not very good at the job. It's a quote that he says it's the hardest job he ever had. He delivered mail in his own Toyota with a bench seat, steering with one hand and sitting in the passenger seat. So that's pretty normal for like, because rural carriers are doing a lot of like mounted type situations. So you're basically sitting in the passenger seat, driving with your left foot on the pedals. But it says that he also delivered mail in the snow and until 9 or 10 at night. So I've been there. Yeah. But but he moved to Chicago a couple months later and quit the job. But he like jokes about, or he like laughs about remembering when he actually got to Chicago, he was like cleaning out his car and he found some undelivered mail in like underneath his seat from having the post office job. And he said he put it in the mailbox to get where it was going, but he apologizes if those were like tardy checks or whatnot.
That's one
So,
tardy
Wow.
check.
But he also is famously, whenever he talks about it, he talks about is what, and this is like a quote: "What I would do as a mail carrier is I would write a little handwritten note and say, when he would collect letters and realize that they are like to Santa Claus from little kids, and he would actually write like his own little card to put into the mailbox, and it said, 'Your letter to Santa Claus has been picked up by a special reindeer courier.'" And I'd leave
Aw.
it in the you leave it in the mailbox, he added. So
Wow,
he
that's
always,
the cutest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
yeah. So we did kind of pick our favorites of Steve Carell. So moving along here, Griffin, what did you pick as far as like your favorite piece of Steve Carell?
I picked the 40-year-old virgin, and I know it's sort of cliche, but that was like his big breakout role. And of all of his movies, I would say that's the one I will go back to and watch the most frequently. I think it's just one of the best comedies of that era. The jokes still hold up. I watched it again last night. There's just so much clever nuance and subtleties in there. And that movie has so many well-known people getting their early breaks, like Kevin Hart's in there, Mindy Kaling, Kat Dennings is in there, Jonah Hill, numerous other well-known people have early roles in there or just smaller parts in there. The people we see all over the place today. And Jane Lynch is great as the store manager.
Yeah, yeah. Shane, have you seen 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Yeah, it's one of the funnier movies. I think I almost like I couldn't breathe at some parts when I first watched that movie.
Yeah.
I
What
was
is the
laughing
first?
so hard.
What's the Griffin? What's the first thing that like that maybe like a scene or name something that you think of immediately when you think of 40-Year-Old Virgin? Like,
The
what's your favorite scene?
the
Since
waxing
you've
scene really comes to mind. That's the waxing scene.
yeah.
The speed dating scene is great too.
Yeah, when they wax him and he's like shouting out, and he's like kind of in the movie, he's not like a flagrant kind of guy. He's not, he's kind
Yeah,
of
he's
like a
sort of a
clean
nice,
cut.
such a nice human being, not really cursing very much, but he kind of gets he curses a bit in that scene.
He's like Kelly Clarkson, like he's shouting different things that aren't curse words, but
And
are like it's something it's pretty funny.
and the thing
YouTube,
is, they did that for real. Like they did that for real. Like
yeah,
there's
no, that's a
no.
real
Oh,
life.
I didn't realize that they actually waxed him for real.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why
no,
they.
he has that hairy of a chest, and they thought it would be like the most hilarious thing to try to actually pull off. And it's kind of like one of those scenes where it's what do they call it, real time,
Yeah,
because you can't redo that over and over again, so they kind of have to do it in one take.
Mhm.
And the funny part is like at the end result, when they only get like 3 strips off and it looks like it's a face on his body. And I think that they actually said like it like left like, because if you have had waxing, it, not that I have,
he
but
bled a little bit afterwards.
yeah, he bled. Like he actually, they pulled so much hair and so much skin off of his body that he actually bled for that scene. So
And then
Wow.
one of my favorite parts of the movie is later on in the film, he and Elizabeth Banks, he's drunk and he's with Elizabeth Banks, the girl from I think it's the bookstore that he was kind of flirting with earlier.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
so he's there with her, and then he takes his shirt off. And this has been like in at least 45 minutes later from the scene with the waxing. And you've
Yeah.
had like a lot of, arguments and other stuff between him and I believe Trish is his girlfriend's name. So when you see him take his shirt off, you kind of forget that he had all the waxing, and then you see the wax marks again. Like he didn't like shave any of else down. He just left it as is.
Yeah.
Like hilarious callback. I mean, like it takes you right back to that scene
Yeah,
again.
it's like the joke that keeps on giving throughout the
Yeah.
movie. That every time you forget about it, they like to kind of sneak it in there. Yeah,
Rip away back to it.
Yes.
yeah. Anything else, Griffin? You got another?
I love
Head off
how
there.
at the end he's like he's about to lose his virginity, and then the guy is like waxing the honeymoon suite. He has to yell, "Get out of here!"
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I haven't seen that in quite some time, but and I like when the guy that his coworker goes to the 1 minute dating or the dating pool thingy that they do,
Yeah.
speed dating, and then like later on, like Steve Carell's character has to cover for him because the lady finds like a bunch of like phone numbers that his coworker had in his pants, and he's like, "Is this what you wrote?" And then they're very distasteful things, but Steve Carell like is trying to be a good wingman, kind of like protects his friend. He's like, "Yeah, I totally said that," and
Oh,
it's
show.
yeah,
holy
faux show, yeah, and it's
Don't they
things
work at
that
like an electronics store or something
Yeah,
too?
they
Right?
kind of
Oh,
work
yeah.
at like a Best Buy knockoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
And I
it's
just love how like they kept having Paul Rudd going crazy about the Michael McDonald soundtrack that they play
yeah,
every day because they play the same thing every day. And I'm wondering like, was there ever anything like that when you worked in retail, Jeff, that you had to like deal with every single day and it just drove you crazy? But like it would be benign to somebody just walking in like every couple weeks, maybe.
yeah, they would be listening to music while we were like, because we had like the soundtrack on there, and they would be listening to music. And we had like two different things. We actually had an electronic section where we would always try to put our music and like our playlists, but we always got in trouble and we couldn't do that. So we had to listen to the generic music that would be pumping through the whole entire store. And there was actually options like option 1, option 2, and option 3. And option 3 was a little bit more of like current music, a little bit more dicey. It was a little bit more like,
Risque.
yeah, like it was more pop music. And then the first two was like Michael McDonald type music. It was just really boring, like really just nasty, straight up elevator music type thing. So we'd always put it on the third one, but then we
Yeah.
would get people complaining that the music was too tasteful or had too much flavor to it. If you kind of, it was like subtle racism. It was just like these certain type of people, and it was always the certain type of people that would come up and complain about the music being too flavorful, if you catch my drift. And we are like, well, dude, like and it wasn't even anything, it wasn't anything crazy or like suggestive. It was just not the normal generic, store brand music that was always playing. And so someone would always complain about it. So then we have to switch back, and it was kind of a pain in my butt. But yeah, moving along here,
Who's next?
I'll do mine. I picked him in Anchorman, and
Oh, that's a good
Anchorman
one.
2. So
Such a good. Was he Brick, right?
yeah, his name was Brick Tamlin, and
Brick. Damn.
yeah, and he was the weatherman or the meteorologist on the news program or the news show that the anchorman or Will Ferrell was on. And in 40-Year-Old Virgin, Steve Carell was the main character. He was the protagonist. But in this, Steve Carell is a supporting actor, and I think it's one of the best roles he did because of like exploring that supporting actor role that he was in. So, there was like many scenes where, it's one of those where he wasn't the main focus of it, but he would completely just say stuff that was totally out of left field, and I felt it was like stealing the scenes left and right. Like when they're like when they're like going around and they're like complaining about Christina Applegate is one of the actresses, and she comes onto the scene and she's basically turning things upside down as far as like the type of, I don't think we gotta say like spoiler alert, but like Christina Applegate is basically putting a wrench or changing things in the
She's
movie.
a representation of the feminist movement of the 70s,
Yeah,
where that movie takes place.
and of course, the guys are not happy with the change that is coming about.
And she's actually very competent at her job, unlike the rest of the guys. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, she's an actual like good reporter. Yeah,
and and then they like keep on like circling it back around like their manager or to like their producer's desk, and they're like giving different reasons why this isn't good, change isn't good. And then Brick comes and he's like, I don't know what we're yelling about. And he just like, and he walks away. And then they do like another cycle, and they're like, oh, I don't like this about her, I don't like this is going to be like so different, I don't like it. And then Brick comes back around and he's like, loud noises, it's just like he's so detached from everything that's going on. And there's also like I guess it's kind of like a warriors feel to it. They fight, like they have like turf wars between them and other anchormen from different channels,
Yeah.
like news channels. And one of the other guy is what's his name, Vince Vaughn, right?
Yes.
And he's like making fun of like how one of them is like dressed. He's like, oh, nice jacket, where'd you get that, the women's department or whatever. And then Brick tries to like stand up for his friend, and he gets up, he's like, oh, you have a nice jacket, where'd you get it? The toilet store. It's just it's like, what? And then even like when they're like getting to break up, Vince Vaughn gets all mad at his lackeys. He's like, yeah, even the guy that can't even talk right is coming after me. You couldn't stick up for me, So that kind of is like the role of him. I couldn't wait to see Steve Carell and to like hand off or to like step in and give these one-liners, and I enjoyed them. Like, have you seen it, Griffin or Shane?
Yeah, I've seen it. I love the part where like he randomly has a trident and he randomly has like a grenade in his hand.
Yeah, that's when he's like they're doing the turf war in the battle, and it just like cuts to Brick, and he like chucks a trident and he nails a guy that's on a horse randomly too.
Yeah.
Like it's
And then afterwards, he's like, I killed a guy. He's like, yeah, Brick, I saw that. You might want to lay low for a while.
Yeah. And that's like right after like the famous line that was delivered by Will Ferrell. He's like, that escalated quickly. He's like, Brick, you hit a guy with a trident. And he's like, you might want to leave town, lay low for a little while. Yeah. And then I watched the second Anchorman. The thing is with this assignment, I wanted to do like Anchorman is one of my favorite movies. Like it's one of those where people probably roll their eyes when I'm talking to them, because I'll be like, Will Ferrell, and I'll like just be joking. I'm like, yes, my apartment smells like leather bound books and rich mahogany, so like I'll just constantly reference it. But I hadn't seen Anchorman 2, or I hadn't seen the whole thing. And my favorite part of it, it's like an ongoing part where Brick actually has a love interest in the second movie. Have you guys seen the second one?
Yes.
Yeah, a long time ago. I don't know it very well though.
Yeah. Well, originally, like how we get introduced into Brick is that they're at his funeral, and then like there's like eulogies, and people are standing up to talk about Brick, and then Brick himself gives a eulogy about himself. It's so weird. And he's like, we will find his murderer, and all the guys look at each other like, murdered, like what's going on? And apparently the reason why he died is because he was on a boating expedition and he saw a seagull out in the water or whatever, and he wanted to reach out and pet the bird, and he fell overboard, and he drowned that way. And that's like, I guess, how he died. But he does have like this love interest, and they're like giving the vows for each other. And Brick was like talking about the woman, I don't know her name, like the actress.
Yeah, I think it was Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, like I remember this one time where he's like, the way I can describe her can be like, I can only describe her in the best of like these couple words or whatnot. And he's like, we found a wallet and it had $200 in it, and she looked at me and said, we're rich, as we threw the wallet into the river. And everyone looks like that's the best the way that you can describe your new bride, it's
Wasn't she like the brick of like whatever, like her friendship group too, or something?
yeah, of like the
Yeah.
rip-off CNN. They like joined this big new company, this startup like that was supposed to be CNN, but she was like a receptionist at CNN, and that's how like kind of got to know each other. And like their first couple dates were at vending machines. It's like, oh, I know like this one sweet spot in the city, and they're like, oh, take me to it. And they're at a laundromat standing in front of a soda machine, and it's like, what? This is so weird. And then I guess this is the first time. I don't know if like the technology is new in it, and that's what they're referencing. But there's a scene where his pants match the green screen, and he's doing the meteorologist thing, and he's like freaking out, and he's like, oh, I'm missing my legs. I don't even know how I'm standing. And he's like falling to the ground, and he's just pointing at a number. He's like 95, 95, 95. Like it's so. He's so awkward, and it's like brilliantly dumb is like the best way to describe Brick Tamland as a character. So that was my choice. So you want do you have anything else or
No,
on Anchorman?
I think we got enough of it. What do you think?
What do you have, Shane?
Yeah, please tell me it's The Office, right?
It is not The Office.
What?
Yeah, I know. No Office for Steve Carell, at least so far. Mine is the Dana Carvey Show, which only aired for one season. But him and Stephen Colbert do this bit in it's a sketch comedy show in the 90s. I think it got cut because the very first scene was Bill Clinton having a bunch of puppies suckling at his like they gave Bill Clinton basically like dog teats, and he just had all these puppies. Anyway, so the show didn't. Wow. The show only lasted one season, but they had this really funny sketch that him and Stephen Colbert came up with, and it was called "Waiters Who Are Nauseated by Food," and
which would sound like that would be like a hell on earth to have that type of job if you were nauseated by food to be a waiter.
Yeah, so they're at like a fancy restaurant, and Steve Carell is the head waiter, and then the like back server, or no, Stephen Colbert is the head waiter, and then the back server is Steve Carell, and he's trying to get through the menu, but he keeps, because food nauseates him, he keeps trying to hold back from throwing up. The first time I watched it, getting ready for the show, I was like, okay, I thought this was like a lot funnier when I watched it, and the kicker is he gets to the end and the lady's like, no, like it's totally fine. She's like, I'll just have some bread to start. And then they like absolutely lose it when she says bread.
Oh, no, they said water first, and they're like all relieved and everything. Like, oh yeah, water, I'll get that for you. And then she says bread, and then that's what like triggered it.
Yeah. So and I've always felt like super cool for having watched that show, because that was they were also doing little bits on the Daily Show as well, and that was when they both were first starting out. And I was kind of it was when I was in college, and I was kind of like a hipster in college where I wanted to like find things just to be cool before everyone else, and that made me feel cool for knowing them when they were like literally just getting started. So.
Yeah, and when you sent it to us, to be honest, I had never seen that before, so it was already a win to do this segment just to get that piece that I it was hilarious when I was watching it, and it wasn't so much the comedy of like the whole entire thing, it was the actual acting, the actual following through, because he would be talking about, it's like, we got cordon bleu, like just the fact that they would constantly go and they would grab their knees and like hunch over like they were retching almost, they're getting close to
dry heaving, trying to hold it back.
And then even there's moments where Steve Carell's got like that Saturday Night Live feel to it, where like Steve Carell's like trying to like stop, like not laugh while he's doing the whole thing. It's a very
Jimmy Fallon there corpsing every 5 seconds on that show.
No, it was it's very like one of those things where you feel like that you've witnessed both of them coming up in comedy, like their growth in comedy from that point.
Yeah, apparently they were in the same improv troupe in LA. That would have been fun to have been able to see that. But yeah.
Do you have anything else, or?
There's a sketch that I also really like as well called Germans Who Say Nice Things. And it's basically Steve Carell and Dana Carvey just shouting nice things at the top of their lungs, which I thought was pretty hilarious.
Do you have some examples or like something?
Oh yeah, one of my favorite one is "You look good in a tube top."
Yeah, no, that one isn't as fun. I watched it and there was a couple where like it made me smile, but it wasn't the waiter one. The waiter one was
the waiter one is pure gold.
Pure gold. So if you get a chance, people out there listening, what is the name of the skit again? To YouTube,
waiters who are nauseated by food.
Yes, it was Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert.
And on the Dana Carvey show. If you type in Dana Carvey show, you'll get you there.
Yeah, I think we got pretty much all of our selections in there. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
Yeah. So Steve Carell, and because The Office, I know me and Shane are big fans. Griffin, have you watched it?
Huge fan. So.
No, I'm not a fan of The Office.
I have about 5 to 10 quotes from The Office, and this might turn Griffin into a fan. So we'll see.
Okay.
But you miss 100. These are Steve Carell or Michael Scott quotes. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. So,
Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
So he's quoting Gretzky, but him quoting Gretzky is him, Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Good. Wikipedia is the best thing ever. Anyone in the world can write anything they want about any subject. So it's going to get the best possible information. He also said, I'm an early bird and a night owl, so I'm wise and I have worms.
I got one. When he's talking about Dwight, he's like, why are you the way that you are? I hate so much about the things you choose to be.
And here's one about St. Patrick's Day. It is St. Patrick's Day. And here in Scranton, that is a huge deal. It's the closest that the Irish will ever get to Christmas. This one is, it's kind of inside, but he hates this character, Toby, and it's like back and forth between them.
Yeah.
And he says, if I had a gun with 2 bullets and I was in a room with Hitler, Bin Laden, and Toby, I would shoot Toby twice.
Yeah.
And then here's another one. Society teaches us that having feelings and crying is bad and wrong. Well, that's baloney, because grief isn't wrong. There's such a thing as good grief. Just ask Charlie Brown. And I'll do one more. I found one. Okay. Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy. Both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me. And that's Michael Scott. So yes, I hope you all enjoy the new evolution. Trying to switch it up and do a little different versions of the male person of the show. And let's get to the last segment of the day. Get your satchel. Remember your dog spray. Rattle that gate. It's the underdog. Tally mark game. Oh.
Yeah, you don't work in dog sound, Shane.
What?
Yeah, working your dog sounds.
Yeah.
I got the howl. What are you talking about? I'm the husky of the group.
Okay. We'll do it, and then when Shane's on the show, we'll let him do it late, like after us. We want to create a center stage for Shane's.
No, okay, fine. I'll just bark normal like a boring person then.
No, you wanted it.
You just gotta get your tone out a little better.
Yeah,
maybe do a chihuahua.
Gotta get on that.
I'll get closer to the phone then. That's what I'll do.
You gotta get on the cliff and get close to the moon, the full moon. So It was my pick this week. I did pick the Cubs over the Reds for good time, for old time's sake. I always seem to pick the Cubs and the Reds games. So, but the Cubs were an underdog to the Reds. Griffin, what's your pick?
I picked the Rams and the Bears.
Oh, Rams over the Bears?
Yes, the Rams over the Bears. And that's
Shane.
not looking good.
Shane.
I picked the A's over the M's, and my boy Shea Bangaliers isn't even playing today, so good luck to me, I guess.
Yes.
Oh, I am shocked and totally. I don't know what to do with myself. I never would have thought that you would have picked that game. So I am 16 and 18. Shane is 0-1. And Griffin is 19 and 15 remaining. The underdog tally mark game leader. So your prize is the attention grabbing acknowledgement of 10 seconds. Sorry, Rachel, I love you. So what do you have for us today, Griffin?
So I had an interesting week because I was Monday morning, I go to work, planning on a normal week, and then the boss calls and it's like, hey, can you go to LA for the rest of the week and help out on a project? And I'm like, okay, I'll go to LA. So everything just kind of got a little topsy-turvy this week. And all I'm going to say to my 10 seconds is sometimes you just got to go with it and take the plunge and try something a little different. And it was a good experience going out to LA and working. Got to work with some people I don't normally get to work with. And overall, good experience. I got to go to a Dodgers game and I got to actually see my stepbrother who lives in LA. So, good things happen when you sometimes step out of your comfort zone and you get to go to another city for a week.
Hey, as a wise man once told me, life is a lazy river. You just got to go with the flow and get in that lazy river and
let the river take you where it's going to take you.
And pee in that river as much as you can.
And pee in that river
So,
as much as you
It's a pee.
So, Shane, you got one. Do you have anything? I'll give it to you. Do you want to do like a last comment since you're our star of the show?
Jerry, I hope your contract doesn't get renewed.
Okay. Yes. No context at all. And I'll do one little thing. This kind of reminds me of when you're going to work, think of this. This is another quote from Michael Scott. You may look around and see two groups here, white collars, blue collars, but I don't see it that way. And you know why not? Because I'm colorblind. So,
that was a good episode too. That was a funny episode.
Yeah.
You can't see it, but I am just slumped over.
We didn't make Griffin a believer, but that's okay. So.
Hey, it's because he's white collar, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say anything, but
Not
anyway,
anymore.
yeah, he came to the realization that blue collar is where it's at. So all the people out there, hit us up on the text feature on all of the platforms that it allows. We're trying to perfect that platform. Make sure to leave your name on it if you do text us, unless you want to stay anonymous. Or you could just email us at walklikeamailman@gmail.com if you want to be a guest on the show, like Shane. Say hello,
Yay.
Shane. Yeah. So outside of that, anything else? Anyone? I'll forever hold your peace.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yes. And thank you for listening to Walk Like a Mailman. And I will see all of you down the road.
See you guys.
Walk like a mailman. Walk. Walk like a mailman. Walk. 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 Walk like a mailman. Walk like a mailman.